dark. Go back.
How y'all doing? Don't start yet. I'm nervous. Okay. Woo! So it was the summer before freshman year, and I was crazy. I was a little badass. I did whatever I wanted. I talked to whoever I wanted. I did whatever I wanted. And so I met this guy. His name was whatever. And so I met this guy, and he was older than me. And so I was like, oh, I'm cool. I have an older guy that I talk to, younger lame, huh? And so one day, like, he was like, we were chilling and we was just watching movies and we was just like hanging out. And then he was like, you want to try something? And I was like, what are you gonna do? Play a game or something? Like, yeah, let's try it. And so my dumbass was just like, oh, yeah, let's do it. He was like, oh, it's in the bedroom. So I was like, all right, let's go see what this game is. So we go to the bedroom, and he started like feeling on my body and stuff. And at the time, I was like, I knew what sex was, and I knew where he was going to. So I was like, I was liking what I was feeling, and I started getting this like tingling sensation in my body, and I was like, oh, this is great. Like, let's, you know. And so, yeah, one thing led to another. And at the time, I didn't know what. I knew what sex was, but I didn't know you get pregnant from nut or sperm or whatever. And so he was like, uh-oh, and I was like, what happened? So he nutted in me, okay? And so then a couple weeks later, like moving on, time goes by, I found out that I was pregnant and I was carrying this baby inside of me. And so I'm in freshman year, and I told this friend, and I was like, I was so nervous, I didn't know what to do. I was like, just freaking out, and I was just like, people are gonna judge me, they're gonna think I'm a hoe, and they're gonna just call me all these names, and just, people did do that. And so I was real scared, and at first I was kind of like on board. I was like, oh, this is great, I'm gonna have a baby. And like friends were telling me, we're gonna help you take care of it, we're gonna buy you clothes and all this shit, and I was like liking it. And so then I went home one day, and I was just thinking, I was like, I can't have this baby. Like, if I have this baby, I'm not gonna graduate, I'm not gonna finish school, I'm not gonna go to college. And it's just like a lot of emotions came to me at once. I don't know because it was the hormones or what, but I cried like literally for like 3 hours. I was just sitting in my room. And so I decided, I started doing research. I was like, I wonder if I can just like figure out a way so that I can keep like finish the pregnancy, but like not keep the baby. So then I found this thing called an open adoption, and that's where you have the baby and you give it to the parents, but you're still you still have this relationship with the baby, and it's still like you, and like the baby knows who you are and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this is freaking perfect. And then like I was like, I don't want to be fat. I don't want to walk around with this huge stomach, and the kids are like, y'all are mean. I don't think y'all are, like, y'all are mean. Y'all pick on kids like all the time. And so I was like, I can't do this. So I was doing more research, and then another thing was that I found out that when you have open adoption, you first have your baby, it's like this emotion, like this takes over you, and you just tend to like just keep your baby, and you don't go through with it. And I was like, that's totally me. I'm gonna do that. Like, no, I'm not doing this. So then I was doing some more research, and I found this website. I found this clinic who does abortions, and at the time I didn't know what an abortion was. I've heard of it, and I knew like people were against it, but I didn't know the actual like what it was. And so I was doing some more research, and then I told a friend, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna do this. And the friend that I told, in my eyes, should have supported me and should have like comforted me. I was like, yeah, we can do this together. But it turned out she turned against me as well. Well, not turned against me, but she was like kind of like, no, don't do that, like you need to just go through with this. And so I somehow some stupid guy put it around the whole school, and everyone found out what I was going to do, and people started judging me. Like, it got real bad. People were calling my phone telling me that I was just this horrible person, and people were just like really like looking down on me because of the decision that I didn't even make yet, but it was just in my mind. And so I already, at the time after that, I made my mind up, and I was I made an appointment to go to the clinic, and I talked to the people, and they were counseling me. And it was really ironic because even the people at the clinic were like, this is not a good choice, like this is not something you should do. Like, everyone makes mistakes and everyone, but that they have the opportunity. It was real crazy. And so I was like, no, I don't know, you're crazy, stop talking to me, like, let's do this. And so we had set the date, and the only day that they were available was the day before tax testing. Freshman year we had tax testing, and I was just real, like, I talked to Griner, he was like, you can just miss the tax, it doesn't even matter. You're a freshman in high school, you're still gonna graduate. And I was like, no, like, stop talking to me, you're dumb, you're trying to not make me graduate. And so anyway, so I go that morning, I get up and I go to my cousin, and my cousin takes me to the clinic. And we go and we fill out this whole bunch of paperwork, and then they give us more counseling, and then they talk to us more. And then finally I had to change my clothes, and they put this little, whatever this thing in my arm, and they start checking my blood pressure, my heart rate, and all that stuff. And start checking for like all the stuff for the baby or whatever. And so then they lie on your back, and they have this big ass tube or whatever. And like when you first become pregnant, this I guess like little wall builds inside your stomach. Is that it? There's like this little wall that goes inside your stomach, and like that's where like the baby like forms. And like the baby's like literally like this big, and so like they have to like stick the tube out to take all of the stuff that's going around in your stomach out. And then they have to I don't know, they use some instrument. It's not as big as a tube, but it's like a little bit smaller, and they use that to suck the baby out. And so I remember like as they were doing it, like pulling that annoying cold stuff against my body, I was just like, I already knew I was a horrible person. I already made the decision. So I was like, from what y'all guys were telling me and from what everyone else was telling me, I just knew in my heart that like I was a horrible person. So like, why turn back now? And so they proceed with the process, and then you could just see the baby, like the tube that they're using to suck it out of me. I just see the baby going out from inside of me, and it comes into this little, it's like a little, whatever this thing is over here, and like the baby is in the tube and it's in the thing over here, and I look at it, and I just remember thinking like, I just took the life of a baby because of my selfish ways, and because I didn't want people to talk about me and look down upon me. I mean, I have friends and they're like, yeah, we'll help you, but like, you guys are going to be able to graduate and have your promise experience and go on with your life. But I was someone who's going to have to sit there and raise that baby. And I couldn't do it. And so the doctor told me, he was like, don't beat yourself up too much, it's okay. And then I just kept looking at the baby, and I felt like the baby was like cussing me out, like, you little bitch for killing me. I just knew the baby was. And so I leave, and they give me this little medicine, and the medicine is supposed to be used to help clear out your system and to do all this other shit. I didn't take the medicine because it was so gross, it was nasty. But they assigned me to bed rest. But I was like, I can't because I have tax that next day. So I'm in tax, and I'm just so uncomfortable. I'm sitting in this chair, and it's so painful because my freaking vagina is just hurting so bad. And I'm sitting, and I can't concentrate on this test, so I fall asleep. And while I'm sleeping, I just kept replaying the moment over and over in my head, like me looking at the baby and the baby looking at me. And I just felt like it was a lot emotional, and it was like, it was a hard time in my life, and I really didn't have no one to talk to about it because, like, everyone that I talked to judged me in some type of way or shape or form. I mean, I had people, like, telling me, like, it's okay, like, don't stress about it, whatever, but I knew deep down inside how they really felt about me, and